around out there.
Well, you know what? You made it work. I'm
Thank you.
impressed. Yeah.
Thank you. That's
Nice.
great.
Nice. All right. I think I have hold on things now, I want to say. Let me just bring up the PowerPoint. And can you see today's agenda?
Not yet. Yes, now we can.
Okay, good. All right. Is this normal that you only have a couple people in the group? I know we had like 3 the last time I was here.
We have like usually 2 to 5.
Wow. They
I
all
think
knew I
Michael's
was
kept us
they all knew I
small.
was coming this morning.
What's that?
They all
They
knew
knew.
I was coming this morning. Oh, it's not Michael. Oh.
No, no, it's just
Substitute teachers here. All right. We can just buzz off.
skipping.
Go now then? No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so this is what we're covering today's coaching session. We're gonna actually the level up lesson. I'm gonna get a little bit of feedback from you guys because I know, Dorinka, you've got a retail location, right?
Yes.
And it's pet supplies.
Mostly food.
Okay, pet food.
Yeah.
Shanna, we haven't met before, have we?
No, we have not.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about your business? Just get me up to speed a little bit as to what you do and
Sure.
what value you provide.
Well, the value I provide is teaching youth and families resilience, emotional management, self-awareness, and confidence. So I have a service-based business, and I have youth and families, particularly with high needs, would come to my farm. They work alongside of my horses through a nationally certified equine assisted learning program, which helps them, guides them through the process of learning proper communication, building positive relationships, asking for help, failure, success, resilience, all those things we work on as they come to the property, and they usually come for 8 to 12 weeks, once a week.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. I have a 5-year-old, so
Ah, yes. I have a 9-year-old, and he's just starting to ask if he can participate, which is great because
oh,
he
that's
actually,
awesome.
yeah, he has some mild autism, so emotions are a big thing for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very cool. Okay, so Michael wants me to do the mantra, which I totally approve of. So are we in unison? We're all saying this?
Yep.
My mind is a
This is
garden.
garden.
My
My thoughts
thoughts are the
are the
seeds,
seeds,
and
and
I
I
can
can
grow
grow
flowers,
flowers,
Or
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 I
I
can
can
grow
grow
weeds.
weeds. Excellent. Okay. All right. Let's talk about this stuff. The stuff that's really important. So we'll just minimize that. All right. So, have you guys logged what your revenue, sales, and leads and goals were and whether you hit them or not?
yes and no, because that's why I was on customer support. I couldn't do number two.
Okay, fair enough. Um, okay, so I'm assuming the start date was last time, which was the Saturday, right?
I have June 1st to the 14th.
Yeah. Okay. So what I understood was because I asked Michael if he needed help for excuse me, the last one, and he said no, it's a Saturday session and we're doing other stuff. So okay. So Dorinka, since you have the calm, let's whatever you can tell me would be great. This is being recorded for Michael, by the way.
So almost reached my revenue goal. Same with the sales goal. So that 2 weeks I can already see was much better than the previous one.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. I just now that I just it was a matter of just going to a different browser, so I can access everything now with Facebook, my KPIs and that.
Okay, good.
So, I guess my win is figuring out where just to go to Google Chrome. Because I was saying, my phone works great. It's just, it's nicer to see on a laptop all the details and the insights and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
and we had a really good anniversary event. I do see the benefit of having an event. We learned a lot.
hmm.
Would I do it again? Yes. And would I do it a little bit differently? Of course, right? You
Well, you
learn
learn.
from this
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So in terms of your KPIs, like, did you have more engagement? Did you have more reach? Do you have new followers?
Yes, yeah, no, that whole 2 weeks was much like everything. I mean, I could figure out the reach and then the rest, I needed to, I will get that here momentarily.
Okay, no worries. I
New
can come
follows,
back
I'm
to you
not
for that.
sure. Yeah, and I really am figuring out Instagram. I actually learned how to create a slide on Instagram. Took me an hour, which I was fine with, but I figured it out.
That's good. That's all
Yeah,
part of being a solopreneur, right? I mean,
yes.
you know, and that's what Michael's here for as well, because I'm sure he would be happy to give you support if you need it. So, I mean, don't forget, like, we as consultants, both Michael and myself, and even Darren, we're our our passion is to help people thrive in their business. And if you come up against something that's going to take you, you know, at the time, I know it, I get it. At the time, you're thinking, oh, I can just get through this really quickly, right? And you end up taking an hour to do something. Like, just reach out, especially to Michael on social, like on digital marketing stuff. We're happy to help you guys, right? In whatever it is that you're looking for or need. If we can help you, we'll do it,
Yeah,
right?
part of it was trying to really figure out on Hourglass how to create that. And if anybody still wonders, oh, is Hourglass worth it? I know when I tried to do it, excuse me, on Instagram, like you have your phone, you have your laptop, but
Mhm.
I couldn't figure out a way to schedule if you did it directly on Instagram. They just gave you the option to post like right now. And that's not something I wanted. I like to be able to schedule. So I'm like, yeah, no. So I went to Hourglass and that's what took me so long. But you definitely get that option to schedule your post, which for that was really good. That's what I needed.
Okay. Okay, cool. Um, and like I say, like, we're here to help you as much as we can in all this. So by all means, use the good resources that you've got, right? Okay, and your wins and challenges. You said you had a good event. You said you've got more engagement.
Yes,
Okay, awesome. And same with Instagram, same thing.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Okay. Um, all right. Uh, agenda. Let's go back to the agenda. Okay. All right. So in terms of anything else that you want to say about checkpoints and check-ins in terms of what you feel, worked for you? Thank you.
I'm still, I know the last time that, I don't know if it was you or if it was Michael, but pretty much that the organic reach, like before when I was still able to see the analytics and that, a lot of people that were seeing the post was highlighting organic and very few from the boosted. Yet I am doing trial and error. I did a really cool post yesterday morning, but I'm finding that nobody's still really seeing it. I didn't boost it yet, but I did tag at everyone in the post, and there's just really nothing happening with it. And I've made it where somebody's earning or they can potentially win something of value
Mhm.
and there's next to no engagement whatsoever. So I may wait till later or tomorrow and boost it and see if that will make a difference.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
would reach out to Michael and just ask him, by text or whatever, and hey, what do I need to do to get more
Okay.
engagement?
Yeah.
And just see what he has to say. I mean, he definitely is the expert in this side of things.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, cool. All right, Shanna, how about you? Oh, I can't hear you because you're on mute.
Sorry, my son was just leaving. He's a firefighter and they've just deployed him out to fight wildfires and he first time he's just left. So
Oh, geez.
okay.
No worries.
All right. So here we are.
Good luck to him. I hope he stays safe.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a catch 22 for a mom.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
yeah. But so for me, I'm right now working with Michael
Mhm.
on my social media. So we've been creating content in the background. That's been fairly intensive and it's just starting to feed out now. So like literally in the last week. So due to that, I have a 289% increase in my reach.
Hey, if only
That's
it could happen every week like that, right?
right. That sounds great, except we're going from nothing, right? Like I wasn't servicing my Facebook a whole lot, and we've been in works of it for a couple of months now. So, anyways, just starting to feed out. It's going well. It's tough to say my KPIs because it was so small. My audience was so small that
Mhm.
we haven't started to do our paid advertising yet. We're just building our base. Then comes my paid advertising where I can get better KPIs. I was pulling my KPIs off my email marketing, but
Yeah.
in this last week or 2 weeks, even I haven't done any email marketing, so I have no anything to show for that.
Well,
But
you've been focused on the digital side, so that's the
exactly,
social
yes,
media
yeah,
side. So that's understandable.
yeah, and it's getting to where it needs to be. So then I'll start to see these numbers, and they'll start working for me. But we're just getting that base in right now. Um, so my sales goals, I have a very interesting service proposal that I'm just making up now, which
Mhm.
would also go in with my wins. So I have been in contact. Actually, they reached out to me, and it's the Cerebral Palsy Association of Alberta, and
Nice.
yeah, they're looking for a service provider for Central Alberta, and I would be that sole service provider at this point.
Oh, how
So
cool is that?
yeah, so I'm making their service proposal and then they will have an invitation to come to the farm and experience the program and do a day of really hands-on Q&A, figuring it out, and then we can see where it goes from there, like or how it will go from there. But they're very committed, and that's a big win, and also my challenge of just getting everything just right for that proposal to them. And I also last week was or not this weekend, but the previous weekend we were in the community parade. That went really well. So that took a lot of focus getting ready for the parade, getting kids all lined up and what have you. And so it's been a lot going on, but I don't have a lot of record to show for it just yet. But it's all in the works and it's all good stuff. So I'm really excited about this Cerebral Palsy Association. And then as Michael and I get more of the digital side of my marketing in place, then I will be uh, more active with my sales goals as well.
No, that's awesome. I mean, this is when it's great to be an entrepreneur because you've got all these wins happening and all this momentum and all this like try and harness that feeling just to keep going with that. I mean, you're gonna have those days that aren't so fun,
Right.
but just try and harness this and you
Yes.
just keep pushing forward with that. And
Yes.
don't let little rocks in your shoe like stop you, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Any other wins and challenges?
Um, I guess my next challenge will be I'd like to create a appreciation event for my former clients.
Nice.
So my thought with that, like I could bring them to the farm, and I often do. We often do a lot of things at the farm because I got the room for it and what have you. But I was thinking maybe this year, because I'm at Sylvan Lake, which is just a glorious piece of water, and I'm just 2 minutes from it. So I was thinking of maybe renting one of the gazebos down there and doing just a whole barbecue beach day with the kids,
That sounds great.
right? And just, it doesn't have to be
Yeah,
farm
just make it
stuff.
a family day and,
Yeah,
customer appreciation family day, something like that, right?
that's right. Yes. So
Yeah.
that's my next challenge. I'd like to run that in August when it's nice and hot. And that'll be on my list of to-dos here right away to get that planned up and really do a good job with it and make sure everyone is invited.
Yeah, be mindful like of, everyone taking holidays and things like that as well. So watch your window for when people will actually be around.
Right.
If
Yes.
logistically you could do it, I would say do it in the next like 2 to 3 weeks because
Oh,
people tend to take people tend to take the middle of summer holidays, which is kind of like last week of July, first week of August.
yes.
So and then, they get into like farther into August and now they're trying to get the kids ready for school and all those kinds of things. So just
That's
be
the truth.
mindful that, you may logistically want to try and organize something for maybe a little bit earlier. And also
Yeah.
when the weather's not so stinking hot either, right?
Right. Yeah,
And
that's
and there's no fires.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and everyone's
Right.
staying in and we can't breathe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I'll make note of that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and like there's provide incentives for people to come as well. Games, win prizes, those kinds of
Okay.
things, whatever that might be, to
Yeah.
incentivize people to come.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. That's what I'm here for. Okay. Round table. I don't know if it comes to digital marketing, I'm more operations. So, when I hear you're doing as well as you are, Shanna, one of the first things I think of is like, do you have enough staff to, like if these guys bring this stuff on, do you have enough staff? Like for Dorinka, okay, now that you've done this great event, like how are you going to follow up with it? Like some of those things. So let's talk about state your challenge around some of these things because this is going to give you that momentum that you're going to need. So who would like to go first? Don't all put your hand up at once.
Ah, well.
Okay.
So one challenge that I would have in pertaining to my work with the Cerebral Palsy Association is that I work outdoors. My farm is outdoors. I do not have an indoor facility.
Mhm.
They know that, but I also led them to believe that, if we're going to be going forward, we're going to do something, then I would get something in place. I would like rent another facility or whatever we need to do. So that would be a challenge that I'd like to outline somewhat in my service proposal without going too much because I really don't have anything in place.
Yeah, I would agree. So, as an operations person, we always look at what's your backup, right?
Okay.
So, like, do you have an option that you can present out to the Cerebral Palsy Association so that they are assured that it doesn't matter what the weather is, you can provide that service for them, right? And so, yes, if you can find a covered area, like it can, like you're not in a place where you're going to get flooding, right?
No, but it just gets really cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, okay, so, like if you have somewhere that you can go to facilitate some of these programs when it's cold, or even when it's really stinking hot, right?
Right.
Like that's going to be important to them because it isn't just about how can I take care of these people even when like it's not about like under optimal conditions can I service you.
Yeah,
Actually, the thinking needs to be under crappy conditions, how can I serve you?
right.
So it's always about providing that reassurance that you have backup. So in your proposal, make sure that you're putting those kinds of things into it
Okay.
to make sure that they understand that you've got these bases covered, you've thought of this stuff already.
Okay.
You know, anything that can go wrong, think about anything that can go wrong and then come up with solutions. And then you can provide that even as bullet points, like when this happens, this is what we have in place.
Okay. So on that note, there I know of another facilitator who is trained same as me.
Mhm.
She doesn't do the same market as me. Like she doesn't, her ideal client is not the same as mine, which is good.
Yeah.
But she has an indoor facility. Do you think, my thought was not so much to partner with her because I want this to stay, I do want it to be my client, but somehow to bridge with her. And she's also a facilitator, right? So that gets me my extra person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm wondering how to maybe approach that with her. What do you think would be a suitable proposal to use her facility and her services, ideally?
Well, so I would approach her with the from the perspective of would you like more exposure?
Yeah,
Right? Would you like more exposure? And I have inroads with Cerebral Palsy Association. Um, they're very interested in what we're doing. Would you be interested in having your indoor facility exposed to them? Right? And then let's talk about, if you are open to it, then let's talk about what that looks like. And I highly suggest that you never partner with them,
right. No.
but you compensate them for it in some way, right?
Okay. And
Um,
so like, would you, if it was you, would you do like a percentage of your sale? Would you do a rental fee, a flat rate sort of?
well, what I would personally do is propose all those solutions to them. Which one works best for you? Which one
Okay.
do you think would look best? Now, you're
Yeah.
going to have to come up with the numbers beforehand, what works for you,
Okay.
right? Because obviously, like if your gross profit is like 40%, now all of a sudden, okay, if 50% is going to that person, now how do you make this logistically feasible,
Right.
right?
I have a really nice profit margin, which helps. But
Yeah, but it's not
yeah,
about that. You want to still keep as much money in your pocket as you possibly can.
yeah, I do. And I also don't want I just don't want crossover as far as I don't know. It's the partnership part that I worry about for sure. I don't want to do that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
and we'll talk.
propose
Actually,
also.
we're going to talk about that because Michael hit me up with this 2 days ago and said, "Can you do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can do it. I might not have a PowerPoint, but I can do this." So we're actually going to talk about core values um,
Okay.
in the learning session, and I'll coach you guys through some of that stuff. In fact, we just finished a really great core value uh, session with one of our clients, and I really liked how it went. So I can actually show you, I don't have to reveal their brand or anything else that would be in contravention of an NDA, but I can definitely show you what it could look like or should look like for you guys. So, so that said, I would approach them. I would approach them from a place of, I'd like to have a discussion with you.
Yeah.
I have a lot of potential coming,
Yeah.
and I think that this might be a really great way for us to have a win-win for each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
If she doesn't consider you competition, then this could work really, really well. But you could, if she does, you could say, well, I'd like to collaborate with you on this and figure out how we can make this work. Because
Yeah.
the win is for the kids and the win is for the society, right? So,
Yes.
you have to keep that in mind. This is not a typical for-profit business.
Right.
This is you're working with nonprofits to a certain extent and charities.
Yep.
So this isn't about taking as much money as you can out of their kitty and out of their war chest. It's more like how can we maximize the value you're going to get.
Yes.
So if you can help sell that to your colleague,
Yep.
then that might be great. And if they're in this for the same reasons as you are,
Yeah.
it might be a really easy sell.
Yeah, I think so. It's a heart-based business, and that's where we're all coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Thank you for these notes. I've got some clarity and some direction.
Yeah. You got a lot to do.
I do.
You got to set an event, you got to get partnerships, you got to partnerships, right? And all
Yep.
that kind of stuff. So I would challenge you. So in the next, so your next, the next session for this group is the 3rd of July,
Okay.
isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. So 3rd of July. So I would challenge you by then to come up with a date that's going to work with you for you and your attendees for your event.
Okay.
See if you can get some arrangements done because I know you still have to do business, right? It's
Right.
right. And then I would open the dialogue with your colleague
Okay.
to see if their level of interest because let's face it, if she says no and you've put all your eggs in this basket, now what?
Right.
Right? So
Yeah.
you gotta have some backup for that.
Okay.
Um, and then you have to figure out what that's going to look like as well. Right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Got it. Thank you, sir.
You are very welcome. Darinka, you're up. What's your challenge? Besides Facebook.
So that's from what I do understand from a lot of people, that's not just my challenge.
No.
I know of like a few people that I follow. I have a subscription and I join every Sunday morning, and I learn so much from these two people about pets and health and wellness. And I mean, they're well known and they struggle with Facebook. So I'm not too worried. I'll make it work. And they also hint on different options to get the word out there or how to reach people. So it's a win-win for something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
don't forget, I mean, it's really easy, and I mean this in the nicest of ways to Michael. It's really easy to get sucked into digital marketing only. I'm a big believer in the opposite. A big believer in building relationships and figuring out ways to do that. Your event did that, and you were very successful at it. So let's also leverage that momentum in all this to reach out to the community. I mean, you've got a new competitor coming into your space. Like, let's continue to create that relationship and build that. Even for existing customers, offer incentives, offer reasons for them to get to know you more too.
and that's where I need to learn to be creative that way.
Yeah, yeah, but
So
don't just do it by digital, right? Like,
so
reach out.
what options then would you suggest other aside from digital?
Um, you can still have like you had a great event. It's probably a lot of work to get it to do it and get it up and going. But I would reach out like if you got, did you have a draw at all?
No, I thought about it and I didn't. And
Oh,
I know the value of a draw because then you get everybody's contact information where you can then follow up.
yes, yes. So that for me would have been one of the things that I would have absolutely said, you need to do this, right?
Okay.
Uh, I would then you have regular customers and do you have their contact information?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you can reach out to them and just say, hey, it's Darinka, just sitting here and wondering about you. What are some of the things that you are find as a challenge or as a struggle with your pet or your animal, whatever that might be? And is there ways that we can maybe like provide some knowledge for them? Like it might be an opportunity to sell more, but it also might be a way for them to have healthier pets as well in all this. So
Okay.
come from a place of like, hey, I know you come in, I know you buy your usual stuff, but I want to explore just like if we're giving you the right stuff, right?
Okay.
Right. And if your pet's needs have changed as well, because they're aging, right? The pets are aging. So
Or their budget has changed, because
budget has
I know,
changed.
yeah, I have a few ads out there and people just see just one selection, and I don't want them to think that that's all we have to offer. So I always make sure I say, by the way, we do carry XYZ, and what else I can potentially bring in. I think that's one thing that really sets us apart from the bigger chains in town. And they're lovely people that work there, really nice. But I do understand that their hands are tied. You can't just go in there and say, "Hey, can you order?" They'd love to, but corporate dictates what the store carries or not.
Yep, absolutely. And that's an advantage for you.
Yeah.
So, you want to point that out to your clients as well. Like, hey, we're flexible. We're not going to take it from a place of we're going to slag that company, but we're going to take it from a place of, hey, we want to help you more, right? And so what are your needs? And can we get you to a place where, like you have a happy, healthy animal and everything that they need, they're getting because you've talked to us and now we understand what your pet's needs are, right? And again, this is more personalized service, but then you're in a personalized city or area, right? This is not big city. This is like, hey, I want to get to know you and your pet, right? So the more you can do that, the more these big guys they can't compete with that. They don't have the bandwidth to do it. Uh, so that could be a really great competitive edge for you.
All right.
Okay. Um, any other challenges? Anything else that you guys would like to talk about from a challenge standpoint? I'm glad you have no more challenges. That's awesome.
I could really use about $100,000. That's a challenge I have.
Yeah.
How long have you been in business?
I have been in business for 10 years.
Do you have good financials?
Nope,
How bad
they're not bad. They're just low
in terms of revenue?
revenue. Revenue, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna offer you something out. I don't know who's in your area, but I would contact BDC. They're very open. BDC,
Oh, yeah, okay.
right? They're open to like, and you can even tell the story. Hey, we have expansion coming. We're
Yeah,
talking to Cerebral Palsy, Alberta, and they want us to do this. Maybe you can even build your own indoor facility,
you're right. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So BDC is like they're not a big five bank.
right.
They're
Yes.
not a little credit union or anything like that.
Mhm.
So they're more open to working with business. And I know, we have clients and ourselves that have ties to BDC and they're very helpful and they work way better with you than the banks do.
Okay.
Therefore, they're more flexible in terms of like if you get into trouble,
Okay. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Banks are like, nope, sorry, want the money, pay up now,
yeah.
right?
Right.
Whereas
Yes.
BDC will work with you on, solutions, providing solutions because they understand the roller coaster of business, right?
Right. Okay.
So
I've got to start on it. Thank you.
you're welcome. Drinka?
Is this only available in Alberta, or is this Canadian?
No, it's
Like,
Canadian. BDC is the Business Development Bank of Canada.
I've never heard of it.
Ah, okay. Yes. Let me see if I can find you a link. Give me just a second.
That was easy.
Uh-huh. It is. It can be.
Perfect.
Okay, there you go. It's in the chat.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You're
Thanks.
welcome. Okay, so maybe that will help you guys. Word of caution, they're not cheap as a bank, but they also are far more amenable to working with you on what your needs are.
Okay.
I can tell you this. So, personal note, our company, when COVID hit, we were okay, but I knew that there was this opportunity to make $20,000 from the government that they would give you if you just took the CEBA loan and then paid it back, right?
Mhm.
So I went to BDC and said, and it was helpful for us because we wanted to expand our business. We were doing some marketing at the time. We built our brand package. We did a whole bunch of things during that time. I went to BDC and asked them specifically for, whatever their offer was at the time, which was, I think at the time it was, $100,000, um, up to $100,000 in loans, right? And I didn't need that much, not by a long shot. So I just reached out to them and I said, okay, I've got this, this, and this. I'm interested in what you're offering. What can you do? And they didn't ask for a whole lot of financials, Shanna, at the time. This was 4 years ago. And all I was looking to do was get some marketing capital and then just not touch the rest of it. It's kind of like a combination between a credit line and a loan. So when you apply, they will tell you you can get up to this much, and then you tell them how much you want, and then they transfer that to your bank account.
Okay.
So in our case, we were approved for $100,000. I only needed like 30.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, great. I'm going to take the 30. In the meantime, in the back of my head, I'm like, you're thinking normal bank, right? I must use that other 70, right?
Mm.
No, you don't have to, right? Now, when you go back, like let's just say you decide to do an expansion or do another, hey, I need another tranche for more expansion, right? Now you have to, it's not a reapply, it's, hey, I'm looking at doing this. Can I get this? And they'll look at your record, your repayment record, and they'll say yes or no.
Okay.
Okay. And it's not a line of credit, it's more like a loan in that way. But the as the balance drops in terms of what you owe back, your level of ability to borrow more
Mm.
becomes better. So
Okay.
it's like a line of credit in that way. So if I, like if I get $100,000, let's just say I've got $80,000, that I've borrowed from BDC, and now, my balance is at 60, I can go back to them and ask for 30,
Hmm.
right? So just they have that revolving line of loan, I guess, not credit,
Right.
and that tends to be really an advantage for most entrepreneurs. So have a look for that, have a look at that
Yeah.
and see what you can do with it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And yes, Dorinka, you can use it. You can use it for anything. You can use it for marketing initiatives. You can use it for expansion. You can, like whatever you're going to do. I always like to give them something that's tangible in terms of what you're going to get in results. And obviously, their intention is that you use it for your business, not to go on a vacation, right? So, and a reminder that yes, you still have to pay it back. And interest rates, I think, are 5% above prime. So they're about, I think right now they're about 12, 13%. So it's less than a credit card, but not as good as a HELOC, home equity line of credit. But still, if you don't want to use your personal lines of credit for your business, this is a great way to do it. That
Okay.
might be the teaching part this morning.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That
And there's
that
usually
definitely explains a lot.
and there's usually a rep in your area that will understand like the area, right? So in Vancouver, we've got like people in North Vancouver, we've got people in Richmond, we've got, BDCs everywhere here, right?
Hmm.
So it might be a little tougher to find your rep, your agent for where you guys are. But,
Right.
if you go on the site, they'll connect you with whoever is in that area.
Right. I'm
Okay.
just wondering though, like I've got a HELOC on my mortgage. which would probably be a better rate. It would be a personal line of credit, but really, would that matter?
Well, here's where it does make a difference. Number one, if you get the BDC loan, you're not touching anything that's personal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect your credit rate or your credit score. It also doesn't, it gives you more cash flow flexibility,
Okay.
right? So from a perspective of like, okay, well, like I don't know how much you've got, but let's just say you've got a $50,000 line, HELOC, right? Okay, so let's just say you're going to use 30,000 now for marketing,
Yeah.
right? Okay, now you've only got $20,000 flexibility in your own personal account, and you've got nowhere to go,
Mm.
right? If you use the BDC, like if BDC it approves you and you use it, you still have that 50,000,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you're not having to mess with that, right? That's your fallback. Remember, what's your
Yeah.
backup, right? So your
Right.
fallback is your HELOC, right?
Right.
But if you can go to BDC and get a loan and do all those kinds of things, you have, first of all, you've segregated that away from your personal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if anything happens, God forbid, right? At least you're not, first of all, you're not personally affected, right?
Hmm.
And, you know, they'll work with you as best as they can,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Which is kind of more like what we were doing here. But I'll give you some bonus stuff in a minute. I know we've only got a few minutes left. I will run till about 10 after 10 because I didn't get on till about 7 minutes after or 8 minutes after. So happy to, um, yeah. Michael has put this in for me. So no matter what, like I'll work with you for another 10 minutes, something like that. You good with that? Everyone got the schedule to do that? Good. Okay. I always like to provide really good value when I do anything. So I'm a big believer, and no pun intended, but time is the most important resource you can have. Maybe it is pun intended. I don't know. Okay. All right. So um, no matter how big or small your company is, whether you have 100 employees or it's a solo venture, your core values will drive you forward and attract your ideal clients to you. I will tell you this. This is part of our program, like business surgeon program, of which Michael is one of our associates. And he's the digital marketing guy who knows a lot. And I don't profess to know everything, which is why I have associates for all the different areas of our business. This is not a plug for Business Surgeon, by the way. So I know that in part of our program, one of the key pieces, we have a 17-point success program that gets you started and evaluates every piece of your business, even if you've been in business for 5 or 10 years. And one of the things that we find when we have clients come to us or prospects even come to us, one of their biggest headaches is the people that they're dealing with. And it can be crappy clients, crappy suppliers, crappy whatever. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that your core values are misaligned. So where you might value um, respect, you might not get that from everybody. And so their value is not to give respect. So this is where core values need to be aligned, and you will find how much it's so much easier to run your business when you're aligned with your clients. Your values are aligned with your clients' values. And this is not about you adjusting. This is about you guys figuring out what are the values, our values in our company. And I told Michael I was only going to do a 30,000 foot overview of this because this is a very deep subject. And it's something that when you get a few moments, even as a small business solopreneur, entrepreneur, it's really important to understand how important this is. Now, I have clients that were having nothing but challenges with their clients and with their staff. And so I did this exercise with them. This was something that I did with a client about 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. And they came to me because they were pulling their hair out because they had so many challenges with clients, so many challenges with staff. Staff were like, so they had a camera and staff were doing nothing. They were on their phones or they were on their screens or whatever it was. So there's a lot of misalignment. And um, and so they came to me and they weren't sure. Like they weren't sure, oh, I don't know if this is going to be like if working with us was going to be a fit. Well, now they call me sensei, right? But what happened, so what the turning point for them was we did this exercise on core values, and in determining what their true core values were, their biggest client had provided them with $1 million worth of business, but very demanding. They actually had enough confidence and they understood what their core values were and how they were misaligned with this person that they fired their client. And so this is the kind of impact. And now they have great employees who are in the same alignment as they are because they know what their core values are and their employees know what their core values are. And then beyond that, they have it stated like for me, so I'm looking at the screen, but right above me, I have a plaque on the wall that basically says what our core values are. So anytime I'm talking to anybody, you know, I'm looking up at that going like, are they in alignment? Are they not in alignment? So your core values are really important for you to understand where the friction points are between you and your clients. Okay. And the way that you determine your core values, if you're not working with us, is to take and look at situations that you've dealt with where you've had a lot of friction with a client, with a supplier, with a whoever, and understand what it is that irked you about that, about those interactions, right? If you got a client who's constantly, or even if you've got a friend who's even berating you, right, all the time, oh, why are you in this business? Or why do you need to do this? They're not in alignment with you. They're not supporting, right? So they're not really your people, right? Because your people are the ones who are aligned with your values. Is this making sense?
Yes.
Frank is like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, because I'm telling my husband, I said it's like and I mentioned the customer's name, and he just rolls his eyes. He goes, "Yeah, she drives us crazy."
Right. So now take that conversation and ask, why do they drive us crazy? And make notes.
Mm.
So, for instance, one of our core values is doing business with integrity. We say what we're going to do, right? So are they in integrity, or is that person in integrity? If your value is integrity, then what is it that is misaligned with that person, right? Like, are they not in integrity? So you should have somewhere between 5 and 7 core values. And then with those core values, so I'm going to give you another example. I had a client last year who had done their core values, been in business for 13, 14 years, we've done our core values. We don't need to do it. I'm like, okay, what are they? Right. And it was innovation, da 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 da. They only had 4. And so one of them was transparency. I said, transparency is not a core value. So you have to get core words in this, right? So transparency is not a core value. This person was insistent but open to the discussion. At the end of it, they understood that what they really wanted, what their real core value was honesty. It was trust and honesty. So transparency is, a level or two up from what the core is. If you think of this as your core, there are things here, there are things here, right? There are words that you can glom on. And the way that I do core values for companies is we pick out what those words are. So if you think of a bowl of fruit, the words are each fruit. So it's integrity, respect, collaboration, um, joy. Like there are certain ones. Ours are a little bit different because they're more soft skill based. So if you think about those words, that's the fruit. The bowl, the vessel in which holds them, is the context. So the content is the fruit, right? Each content is the fruit. The context is the bowl. So, give you an example because I see puzzled looks. So, for instance, let me just pull ours up. I'm going to find that. Stop share for just a second and just give me a second and I'll find it. You guys following this?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
Well, other than I'm waiting to hear about the context of the fruit bowl.
Okay, well, that's easy. So, actually, so I'm not going to show you the entire branding package, but this is a branding package that we worked with a consultant to do all of our branding uh, about 3 years ago, and it was 100% worth it. So I'm just scrolling through to get. Come on. Okay, and share this. So, okay, so the core values of our company. So when you do this, you see these words that are bolded and all caps. Those are the actual words. That is your content. The context is what surrounds it. So, for instance, the content might be respect, but everyone's idea of respect in their business, what is that, is very different. So, I don't know I hope this is not going to share. Can you guys see did I switch screens on you guys?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, so for instance, um, do this one. No, I don't want to do this one. Okay, so I'll show you this one because in the one that you saw, ours was we respect every person in business appropriately. The reason why I created it that way was because we had people that were not so respectful. And in doing so, that kind of gave me this gave me the opportunity to say, I don't have to respect you either. I can still remain professional and still maintain my integrity in this. But if you're not going to treat me nicely, first of all, this was actually the respect one was one that came in when this came up with this client because of this client. We have this specific core value. The negative uh, situation that I had with this client was how do I put it? It was challenging to coach them at the best of times, and yet they needed and wanted coaching, but they weren't coachable. And in all that, they didn't have the respect for me or any other coach because Michael and I know who this person is. And our mentor, Michael's and my mentor, agreed or came to me at one point and said, "Why are you coaching this person? They're not coachable." I'm like, ego got in the way. Oh, I can do it. I'll break this person. Right. So, but no. So this is one of those reasons why you do your core values because this keeps you focused and on point. This is your shining star. So, for instance, where mine is we respect every person in business appropriately, this company's is we operate with respect, valuing each person's role, listening actively, and treating clients, coworkers, and partners with professionalism and dignity in every interaction. So you can see how those two are quite different. So your content is what is really going to keep you focused on that specific word. Just making sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to wrap it up. You guys have any questions about core values?
So I would, for just example for me, for one, I would say compassion would be a core value, and I would wrap that in um, to operate with compassion, believing everyone is doing their best, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it needs to be a little less fluffy.
Less. I just thought it up right now.
But yes, what I want you to do is when you're thinking about, so you have a very compassionate business,
Yeah.
right? It is a heart-based business for sure, right? And so compassion might be, it might be how you treat your clients. We
Okay.
treat our clients with compassion,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, this is really like fluffy, but for me, but
Mm-hmm.
we treat our clients with compassion in every situation,
Okay.
right? So the compassion is that bolded, capitalized
So,
word.
but there, so for me now, I'm dealing with kids who they may be screaming right in my face in class. Like I'm dealing with some high needs kids.
Yeah.
So I also would I not need to like I'm not going to be compassionate in every situation. Is basically what I'm
No. So you might have another core value driving you, maybe patience.
saying. Okay. Yeah.
Right? So this is
Okay.
why you have 5 to 7 of them because it's
Right.
the one thing. It's like a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
then, if you get into 10 core values, it's no longer core, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You get into two, it's like if you only have two, then there's a problem here. You're
Okay.
not thinking outside the box enough, right? So 5 to 7 is typically the right amount. And I find that people run out of stuff like you'll think about your clients or even the kids and go and you'll come up with all these words. But all these words, some of them are intertwined,
Okay. Yeah.
right? So for instance, if you go back to our our core values, one of the things that we wanted to do was I always want to provide exceptional value. So the core value that we have is we provide exceptional value in bold, capitalized, right?
Mhm.
To meet our clients' needs in a timely manner. Well, this is consulting. So we have to get it to them like,
Right.
right? If we don't, first of all, it doesn't work for the client. Second of all, I'm not doing what I'm not providing exceptional value. So sometimes time is like time can be a core value, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We have to do this a certain within a certain period of time, right? It's being respectful of people's time, but it's also like providing that value of being quick, right?
Yeah.
Right. One of my other mentors talks about speed of implementation. In business, it's everything. If you wait forever, your client's going to go somewhere else or
Yeah.
walk away, right? So, for us, I've combined those two, timely and exceptional value, into one statement, right? One sentence,
Okay.
right? So you'll find that there are certain ones that kind of work together or go together, right?
Yeah.
Right. As a consultant, one of our other ones that you saw, we listen and collaborate with our clients. So I've been a business owner, manufacturing business, where I brought consultants in and they basically told me what to do. So emotionally, I'm not tied to that,
Mm.
right? So when they walk away, most likely that's going to fade off with them,
Mm.
right? So it's really important that I hear what our clients say, like where is their pain points, and then I work with them to get them emotionally attached to those things, right? Whatever it is that their challenges are, because now it's at their core, which means that now it's locked in. Like we're called the business surgeon because we don't just put a band-aid on stuff. We actually go deeper and it's for longer lasting results,
Okay.
right? And it's so that it gives people time to heal from some certain traumas, right? And in all that, now all of a sudden, like the core value, we listen and collaborate with our clients, right? It's always our North Star because we head that way every time. I always listen to what the client's needing because that's that exceptional value that we can provide. Is providing those solutions. So when you guys do your core values, like like the two of you you're gonna have very different core values, partly because of who you serve, partly because of the industry that you've chosen, partly because of your passion.
Mm.
Is it making sense?
Yeah.
So like, and you can't just like garbage in, garbage out. So when you go and do this exercise, do it in a very quiet room. You can have some nice music on. One of my clients uses heavy metal and it just takes them all away from all the distractions of everything else, right? That's going on in their head, right? But you want to have some nice music, maybe even a glass of wine, right? Whatever that looks like for you guys, right? And just let stuff go to here, right? Let it go and sink in and then think about like, okay, where am I having where interactions that I have with people, where are they rubbing me the wrong way? This is where I start, and
Mm.
then I look at what's my ideal client? What is it about my ideal client that, it makes it so joyful to work with, right? And in that, now you can start to pick out the content, right? This is not an easy exercise, and it's something that will affect your company forever. Because the moment you really get like lock in what your core values are and like heart of hearts that this is my core values, you will start to see things change for your business. One of them is your clients. Who are your clients? One of them is your suppliers. If you have staff, all of a sudden your staff understand you better, understand the business better. Oh, one other footnote to this. Your personal values are not your business values. So for me, family is one of my highest values. How do I incorporate that in our business core values? You can't, right? So you have to look at it from a perspective of business only. Okay. Any questions?
That was the exact question that I had. Was, is it coming from our personal? I mean, obviously it is to some degree of how we operate, but I see what you're saying of switching it to be business values.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then once you have them, once you have, let's just say those 5 to 7 statements, right? This is a key. Now you want to arrange them in an order that makes sense. So for instance, what's your highest core value as it relates to your client or your staff? Because that's the one that's going to make the first impression, right? So logically, they make sense in the order in which they're in, and they'll make sense to you, but they'll also make sense in terms of flow,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you guys like, if you need a little bit of help, you can reach out to me. But I'm happy to I'm happy to present this to you because this is a game changer for your company. If you've never done your core values, you will be amazed how the energy shifts in your company once you know what they are. And with that, what's our agenda?
Okay, thank you for your
You are
time.
very welcome.
Thank you very much. This has
Um,
been very good, informative.
Good. I hope that you use the information and get great value out of it. And that okay, so now you've got all this stuff, right? Now, print it on a piece of paper, put it in your office, frame it, because it's valuable, right? Frame it, put it above your computer, because if that's where you do most of your work, now you have it ingrained in you, right?
Yeah.
And then for people like yourself, Darinka, if you have a retail store, get it up in your store somewhere in big print. Whole Foods, Whole Foods puts all their core values at the very front where the cash registers are. They put it up on the wall above the windows for everyone to see in big, bold print, right? Because they want people to understand what their core values are, right? And and then people will align themselves accordingly. If they're not aligned with Whole Foods, they may not go back, right? But that's fine because it's Whole Foods and it's who we are. Right? And it's always in your power. It's not in the client's power. Now you're shifting everything to what's important to you as opposed to what's important to the client, and the client will fall in.
Okay.
The right ones will align themselves with your company. And for you, Darinka, this is a really big deal because you're fighting big box, right? The more you show your personal side, the more they're going to gravitate towards you.
So I guess I could sort of Google online to get some ideas of just the words for core values. Like I know I can think of some, but sometimes when I visually see a list, does that make sense?
I don't believe that that is the best way to do it. I think you first have to figure out what's rubbing you the wrong way and what's rubbing you the right way.
So
And
make a list
you
that way.
make those situations up, and then from there things will become very apparent. Oh, that person didn't respect me, or oh, hey, there was no integrity in that situation, or whatever that looks like, right? And now you'll start to understand, okay, these are words. Now, in the case of transparency, what I talked about earlier, you want to maybe go and do a search, like a what's the word I'm looking for? Even go into Word and just type in, let's just say transparency, right? And it'll give you all the different words that align with that. And then you can look at that and go, which one is
Like a
core,
thesaurus,
more core. Yeah, thesaurus, thank you.
right?
And that will give you something to work with. I'm not a big believer that, I mean, it's getting better with ChatGPT and that, but I think that they have to come from here.
Okay. Okay.
And then if you need that little extra help, then you can even go into a thesaurus and figure out what that looks like.
Okay. Thank you.
Sense?
And I
Yes.
learned a really cool trick too, Darinka. I did this with my personal core values. And so once I had a list of, say you just make a list of, trust, integrity, respect, whatever all your list is. And it's this, you got 20 things that you figured out by what rubs you wrong and what rubs you right. Then you go and you take that list and you say, okay, respect versus integrity. Which one's more important? Integrity. Okay, drop respect. Integrity versus honesty. Which one's more important? Honesty. Okay. And so that's how you'll figure out your order of your top. Like, is this more important than this? Yep, drop that. Okay, is this more important than this on your list, right? And
There is a
that'll,
way, there is a process to do that. If you've got 20, first of all, you got too many.
yeah.
But secondly, if you did have that, what you do is you go process of elimination, and it isn't comparing the two. It's if I remove that one, could I live without it?
Okay.
Right? Because not every client is going to be perfect. They're going to be ones that rub you a certain way, but you're willing to put up with them a certain way. Right? And in that, could you drop that one, whatever that is?
Okay.
And then when you get down to, those 5 to 7 that are like, not dropping it. That's more your core. See, it's funny that you brought up integrity and respect because both of those are in our core values. Right.
That'd be in mine too.
Right. So I wouldn't remove either. Like my thing is I wouldn't remove either one. I don't want to operate out of integrity. I don't want people to not respect, and I want to respect everyone accordingly.
Yeah, you wouldn't remove it. You just to knock down your 20 into a 5 type of thing. So that would get, oh, okay, those are my top. Then I would say, like
Yeah,
that.
the purpose, and like I said, some of them will be related.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So don't forget, like you're not necessarily eliminating them. You might say, like in our case, like, okay, exceptional value in timely manner, right? Okay, those two can work together in that content or context, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so you don't necessarily have to eliminate a lot of them. You just have to make sure that they're at your core, right? The exceptional value in timely manner came from me getting consulting when I had my first business. And I didn't feel like I got either, right? There was no consideration for my time and there was no extended value. They basically regurgitated everything I told them.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to do this. Yeah, I knew that, right? So there's no exceptional value. So for me, when I got into consulting 19 years ago, I was very much like, okay, what don't I want? Right? I don't want to be that kind of consultant. I want to change the industry, right? And so that's where, that rub you wrong way came from, and that statement specifically comes from that, right? It's core. It's always with me. It's always been with me, right? And so now, you start developing your own. When you get this down, like for instance, Drinka, you go do it yourself. Don't talk to your husband about it. Okay. Now you've got this list and you've got the context and the content. Now you go to your husband and say, is this how we want to operate our business? And he'll go like, wow, this is awesome. Right? It's exactly how we want to operate our business. Great. Right? And again, like I say, if you guys need help, just reach out.
How do we reach out to you?
You can, here, I'll put my email in.
Okay.
Actually, Dorinka is actually connected with me on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
On
if you want to
LinkedIn.
connect with me on LinkedIn, that's fine. That
Yeah.
work too.
Okay.
Since we're talking digital marketing space.
All right.
Okay, awesome, ladies. Thank you for your time. We went way over, but again, exceptional value. I
It's
just
all
tried to
good.
be timely
Very
in it.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I in a good way, I hope I don't see you again. I hope Michael's well enough that he can start facilitating this in a couple of weeks. If not, I will be back to help you guys some more.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a great
Thank
rest
you.
of the week. I hope you get all your goals accomplished, right?
Right?
The next couple of weeks. And then you'll be able to report to Michael, and Michael will have a recording of this so he can hold you accountable.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you so much,
Hey,
Keith.
ladies. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day.
You as
You as
well.
well.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.